What is happening, guys, and welcome to something completely different for our channel. Normally we're a gaming channel. We do walkthroughs, let's plays, and we're small. As you can probably see at the time of making this video, we are at 71 subscribers. Now, I'm a big fan personally of Gamers Nexus. I'm a big fan of Hardware Unboxed. Jay's 2 cents. I feel like Jay's 2 cents is kind of going downhill. We'll see where he goes from there. Anyway, not reviewing those channels, but this isn't even a review as such, guys. This is me chatting about this product from Thermal Grizzly, of course. It's called the KryoSheet. Now, interesting thing about the KryoSheet is I can't find pretty much anything about it online. I happen to be watching a Hardware Unboxed video. It was the review of the new 4090 Strix Matrix is what it was, and Steve from Hardware Unboxed was messing around and he wanted to see what the liquid metal application and that was. We weren't reviewing again, this is not a review, we're not reviewing the Matrix card from Asus, but anyway, he was like, oh, why, he wonders how how it performs changing the thermal compound. It comes with liquid metal. He tried it with thermal paste, and then he tried this guy, the KryoSheet. Now, this was introduced, I believe, at Computex. The Hardware Unboxed guys were speaking to DeBauer, of course, the creator, or one of the creators, the idea behind Thermal Grizzly. Again, this isn't sponsored, this is me just chatting. This is me just chatting about the product, because I saw this, firstly on the Matrix, 4090 Matrix, and the results were crazy. It wasn't far off. I think, well, I should have had the numbers here. I think it was around 5 degrees Celsius warmer than liquid metal, and I believe 7 degrees Celsius cooler than the Thermal Grizzly Carbonaut thermal paste. Now, that's insane. So I did a few little, I was like, okay, I want to check this out. Would it help me? I have a 5800X Ryzen 7 5800X with a 360mm AO cooler from Arctic, the Arctic Freezer 2 360. I've got push-pull configuration. Sadly, we did have a 3080 Ti. It died, and we're struggling to get it RMA'd. Their support of are not at all, two emails sent, not at all replying. Anyway, 3060 Ti, because our 3080 Ti is dead, sadly. Asus Prime Pro X570 motherboard, and yeah, we're running 3600 DDR4 OC2 CL16. What is it again? G-Skill Neo. Is it the Neo? I think it's the Neo. G-Skill Neo. Optimized for Ryzen. So anyway, I was wondering, okay, how will the it did that much on the 4090? Will it help out my CPU? I say my CPU issues, but help my CPU out. Now, of course, Ryzen 5000 series, we all know they run a bit warm. Not at all how the 7000 series started. Those guys were just sitting at 95C when they came out for no reason, no matter what you did to them. But the 5000 series were, they were warm. And mine generally sat all core workloads. Now, I only really use, for any of these numbers, guys, this is only done on Cinebench R23, the latest version. Okay, so it is only synthetic. Again, we are not a benchmark channel. I'm not claiming to be a reviewer, nothing. I'm just what I discovered the past, day. I spent today, day of filming, maybe even day of release or day before release. Anyway, I spent a day playing around with it. I had put Thermal Grizzly, the Carbonaut, not Extreme, just the Carbonaut. No, I do have the Extreme. I can't even remember. Anyway, Carbonaut thermal paste on. Did a bunch of testing in my case, normal conditions. Room is 21C. It's been a chilly day in the UK, yeah? So I've had a thermometer next to me. It's been 21 all day of testing. So that's somewhat constant. Fresh air blowing in, nice and cool. And it was very, very, very interesting. Now, before we get into the numbers I found, again, guys, this will just be the hardware info, screenshots. Again, like I said, this isn't a review channel. Please don't comment and be like, if you happen to watch this and be like, oh, this is shit. It's like, I'm just showing you what I found because I could not find any reviews on the KryoSheet. And I was like, well, you know, it's theoretically brilliant idea. I want to check it out. So before you get confused too, this is a pretty new, I think it's brand new actually. I'm pretty sure DeBauer showed it off at Computex this year. It's not he already had the thermal pad. That was the Carbonaut carbon thermal pad. This is not that. This is a new product. I think the Carbonaut thermal pad actually has got a new design or something, because I'm looking right now on Thermal Grizzly's website and it says the new Carbonaut, but I think it came out like a couple years ago at least, or at least a year ago. This is new, the KryoSheet, very different. I will put screenshots of both of them on while we're chatting about this a little bit, so you can, you know, you can pause and you can read the differences between the two, but they are different. Also remember, the KryoSheet is electrically conductive, guys. So if you do put it on a GPU or CPU, make sure it doesn't touch anything, especially the GPU, because there's all little things around the GPU die you do not want shorting. So make sure you do not, if you use it, do not do that. So anyway, you can I'll also put a link. Well, I mean, do I need to link? You can just go to Thermal Grizzly and check on their website. But I'll put a link anyway to both KryoSheet and the Carbonaut. Both of them, again, are pads. The one is carbon and Carbonaut, and KryoSheet, which is, what is it exactly? I mean, here it says alternative thermal compound. It says, yeah, high end. It doesn't actually, I don't think, say. Yeah, it doesn't say what that I can see here, what the compound is made of, but it's electronically conductive, so it's pretty much a physical version, if you will, solid version of liquid metal. So we're going to start off with our default run. I did quite a few sitting around. Oh, I was sitting around and I did quite a few. These are all 10-minute runs, and I took the screenshot you see now is, I think, number 3 of the run. That was actually the highest. These were the highest. So the average, obviously, with Cinebench R23, every time it finishes a run, temps and everything drop. So the average isn't true. I don't think, anyway. I'd like to look at our maximum number. And as you can see here, there's multiple, but pretty much for me, I think the big differences, or what you want the coolest, is the CPU die itself. The average of the CPU die, which you can see on this run, is 72 degrees Celsius. After 10 minutes, that was the max it reached. That's pretty decent, all core. Now that's default. That was with default. By default, I mean that is with the Carbonaut thermal paste. That is the PC fans on full, and just default in the BIOS. Default. I did a BIOS update to the latest BIOS for my motherboard, and from there I left it. I, got the RAM running at what I'm into, but I didn't touch anything. I think it's set to the AMD overclocking, and that is all auto. So it's all auto, bang on standard how the motherboard wants to do it. As you can see there, the CPU CCD1, because there's only one CCD, that is the warmest part. The warmest maximum of 74.8. I mean, if you look at all 8 cores there, that's actually not bad. In an all-core workload, I mean, you can see at the bottom, all the way at the bottom, the active core count was 8. I mean, the average, that's 7.9. is because between tests, or between tiles loading, if you will, it'll drop maybe a core or half. I don't know how you can drop half a core, but anyway, programs. Also, you can see the one highlighted there that I clicked on is the requested CPU, oh, not the requested, sorry, the requested CPU voltage was 1.456 volts. Now that was pretty much, I would say, through the 5 or 6 runs I did, that was it. I know that, again, the average is lower, but that's quite high, you know. Again, if you should know that the Ryzen 5000 series, all of them are pretty much from, I'd say, the 7700X. They like voltage. If you leave it all auto, they will try and take as much. My CPU, doing this testing, at one point was taking 1.5 volt. That scared me. And set to default, it can be crazy. But there's the voltage, but that temperature, I mean, those are the big ones right there. Those averages, those are decent. You know, for all core, I mean, it is a big cooler I've connected to it, but you know, 72 on the die average and 74.8 for the CCD, not bad. I mean, the L3 catch was 38.5C, nice and cool, you know. It's not bad. It did it did take a hell of a lot of wattage at 142, averaging 141.41. Now that was normal. So when you see you know, CPUs, they're like, oh, the DDP in my CPU is 105, how's it using 140? There's a whole lot there's a few guys that know way more. Again, Steve from Gamers Nexus, Steve from Hardware Unboxed, when those launched, and even now, they talk about it slightly. You know, go check them out. I'm not a reviewer, again, I'm just doing a casual review, if you will, on the CryoPad. Small time, just in my system, with my CPU. Yeah. So, interestingly enough, I don't have it up, and I'm not going to put it up because it's a near mirror image, guys. I did, again, 5 to 6 runs when the CryoSheet was on default. You know, I did all the stuff. We did Precision Boost Overdrive and that. I actually went and reinstalled the BIOS because it only takes 5 minutes on my system, weirdly, nice and quick. Did that, put the CryoSheet on, and did the default testing again. And believe it or not, I don't have the numbers here, but they were near on 100% identical. And I was like, hold on, wait, what? The maximums were I mean, I think they were about 1C off cooler, if I remember correctly. And I was like, hold on, this can't be. You know, voltages were the same. Boost was exactly the same. By the way, the boost on default and CryoSheet, it only went to 4.55 megahertz, 4,550 megahertz on both. And I was like, oh my word, okay, that's not great. But it was almost dead on the exact same numbers over all of them. And I was looking and going, it's the same temperature, pretty much. What did I just spend? 20, however much it was, 20 odd pound on 21. I think it's 20.99 I bought it for, sorry. Not on Amazon, by the way. You can't get it on Amazon just yet over here in the UK. Time of making this video, of course, that's everything's relevant, guys, to the time I'm making this, which right now, recording this, is the 22nd of the 9th, 2023. So it was very interesting. I was sitting there watching these tests go, and very surprised that nothing actually really changed. I mean, if anything, margin of error, it didn't cool as much between each reset of the, you know, that type of stuff. So yeah, it was slightly cooler on default, and I was like, this might have actually been a waste. Am I even gonna make this video? So I went and did something else. Obviously, on normal thermal paste, we did precision boost overdrive settings. Maxed them out till they were stable, and I believe that was exactly, well, no, we were able to push the KryoSheet harder, and this is it here. We don't have the core clocks and that, but this is what we got at a stable all-core workload. I'm pretty sure we were sitting at 4,000. I think it was 650. I think it ended up going to 4,625 megahertz at the end of a 10-minute stress test. And that averaged to, I think I only did 3 of the precision boost override runs. I only did 3 on paste. I did quite a few on the KryoSheet. But this is the highest temps maximum of paste, which was run number 3. It would be run number 3 of the 3 because it heat soaked a bit more, and it's kind of what you want. Maybe you should put it on a 30-minute, but you know, an hour and a half to more. Not being a reviewer, which I'm not, don't have that time. Don't have that time in the day, I'm afraid. So out of 3 runs, this is the most intense. What you'll be seeing now is the most intense. We're looking at a CPU T-die maximum of 75. Then the CPU die average of 74.7. This is over 10 minutes, guys. And then the CPU CCD1 of 76.8. That's pretty intense, you know? Okay, yes, it was all-core boosting by 100 megahertz more. It was taking, I mean, if you look here, the CPU power package was 150 watt. 150 watt, guys. Wow, the maximum of 153 watt. That's a lot. That is a lot. It really is. Yeah, if you look at the voltages though, not even 1.4. That's pretty good compared to default. So it was taking less, but of course this is when we have the negative voltage curve and the precision boost overdrive OC that you do. That, by the way, it was on the Asus in the BIOS. So it wasn't using Ryzen Master, it was BIOS, all the way down in the BIOS. So it was set to auto for the pretty much, if you know, if the CPU asked for a certain voltage, it was either CPU controller or motherboard BIOS controller that did it. I just left that on auto. We did increase for all of this testing, well, apart from the defaults, of course, we didn't touch the BIOS there, but we did increase the thermal limit to 110C. I know that's dangerous. It's, I think the CPU auto protects itself though at 95, but I knew we'd never make it close to that. I was just seeing if we raise that, does it give you a bit more headroom? Will it try and push it harder? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I didn't try it with it on auto. But we can see here, we're already under 1.4 volt. I like that. I do like that, that's good. And yeah, just that power though, 153 watt. I was like, holy cow. For 100 megahertz? Not great. Not great. Wattage expense and very warm. Now, if we move over to the KryoSheet. I do, by the way, have this open on the monitor, guys, so I can read this to you as I explain it. Again, we're not, you know, we don't have a script here. We're not a review channel, man. If this for some reason blows up, and you know, we want to start doing reviews, people are like, hey man, you should do reviews. Enough of them. You never know, but there's so many people doing it now. I mean, there's people been doing it for 15, 20 years. I don't have that type of money to be able to afford do GPUs, CPUs, all that, motherboards. As much as I'd love to be involved, we've got work too much, and this again is just couldn't find anything on YouTube about this product, so I wanted to do my own for you, because I thought, hey, you know, if somebody wants a bit of information, did it work better for them, YouTube's the place you go, you know. Oh, I mean, I just quickly before this saw some people on Reddit, it was going really wrong for them using this product. So again, it all depends, you know, user experience. By the way, just quickly, a side note, this has been, you know, the product, the CryoSheet, as per DeBauer, has said you put one on and you won't need to change it until you change your CPU. Not like paste. Paste you should change. If you use your CPU for gaming and, you know, push it every day or 5 times a week, I personally feel I like to try and change my paste every 6 months. I do notice a difference. When I first did first built my PC, the first year after, it was about a year old, and I noticed it was warmer than usual, and I was like, it's getting, you know, okay, it's full maintenance time. We'll clean the air out properly. We'll take it off the CPU. We'll take the fans off the AIO and make, you know, clean it out. And then also what I did is I rinsed it out with water, all the fins, to make sure there was no dust, you know, even though I'd blown it out, I rinsed it. And I was like, wow, this paste is crusty as hell. Fresh paste, and that's what I've been doing. And I was like, oh, you know, it might be, if you look at Carbonaut or Carbonaut Extreme, it's not cheap. It's not cheap for a small tube that is only, you know, if you mess up, you gotta buy another tube. You mess up putting on your CPU, there you can easily spend like 1.5 CryoSheets worth of money. So at $20.99, I was like, if I don't need to take it off my CPU, because I mean, a 5800X, probably gonna upgrade in another year or two. But if I don't have to put fresh, and even I can maybe even use that CryoSheet on my next CPU, you know, if you leave it alone, that thing could last you 5, 6, 7 years, as per DeBauer, if you look after it. So it doesn't really age because it's not coming off and on, and could be a really good move getting one. So I was like, okay, I need to find specs, and I couldn't find any, video-wise at least, on YouTube. So again, brainwave, hey, let's do a bit of testing, you know, and show somebody, and maybe they go, hey, I've got that CPU, mine's running a bit hot. And guys, maybe it doesn't make a difference on my AIO. Air cooling, again, I don't have those resources. It could really help if you got a certain air cooler and you pop that on. It could make a difference. Anyway, going back, the defaults, there was no different. Paste and CryoSheet made no difference in how it behaved before I put Precision Boost Overdrive on. But if you look at this, in comparison now, we're coming back to, or coming to the CryoSheet Precision Boost information. Now, I missed the screenshot. I happened to get a message or something, and I looked, and when I looked up, I was like, oh, crap. But this was the highest maximum. So we're going to look at the maximums. There will be things like, for instance, right here, the voltage. That is not the voltage it was at. That is not the voltage it was at. The average, it was actually about 358. That's 36, 1.36. That's where the voltage was pretty much sitting with this. This was also more, I think the average clock, which I should have put here, but my bad. The average clock was 4,675 megahertz compared to the what we're getting, 4,625 odd on the thermal paste. It would sometimes try and hit 4,650, but it wouldn't do it. Now, it's margin of error, maybe. It kind of sat there all the time, but say best case, you're getting 50 megahertz. No, 50 hertz. No, 50 megahertz. My bad. I'm being stupid now. Best case, you're getting 50 megahertz more. The best case between Carbonaut and the thermal, Carbonaut and KryoSheet. So I'm confusing myself. Is 50 megahertz, and say you managed to set up 4.7 gigahertz on the KryoSheet and 4.650. By the way, I will mention this with the precision boost. This specific screenshot, I'm pointing there because I'm looking there. This specific screenshot, I'll bring it up again. Those exact settings, the single core boost was between 4950 and 5000. Okay, listen again. This is a Ryzen 5800X on an AIO precision boost overdrive algorithm with the KryoSheet. Okay, nothing too insane. It was stable. I was playing games on it. I was playing Starfield. I was playing Baldur's Gate 3. I was playing League of Legends. Synthetic, stable. It was sitting between, happily, at about 50C, 51C. It was sitting single core at 4950 megahertz to 5 gigahertz. Now, that is insane. I've never seen my CPU do that, and it was like, at that temperature, wow. I mean, the voltage went pretty high. Actually, that maximum voltage you see there, that isn't the ore core. That's what it jumped to as a single core. So that is nasty. That's almost 1.5 volt. But it's doing it itself. So it is in the realm of being safe. Yes, there could be degradation, but you know, if you're looking at keeping your CPU for 5 years, you've just got it, and you're doing this. Maybe, especially a Ryzen 5000 series, maybe not the best thing to do. Have it at that voltage every day, single core. But I'm looking at possibly upgrading soon, and if I notice that it starts crashing, or I can bring it down. You know, I can bring it down to a point where I can make it, you know, voltage limited or undervolted or something. This is a type of undervolt using the precision boost, the new precision boost overdrive algorithms in the motherboard. So it's very interesting. So overall, I mean, I would say yes, it is hella worth it using this KryoSheet. Obviously, be super careful when you install it, but it's worth it, and it's awesome. And liquid metal isn't safe in terms of what it does bonding wise from your CPU to your cooler. Now, if you don't know this, research it. Especially nickel plated, and that liquid metal can actually, the Bauer was talking about this, by the way. Go check out, I might even link, I'll probably link or put it in the description, that hardware unbox meeting with the Bauer at Computex 2023, that is, when he showed the hardware unbox guys, showed them the KryoSheet, and he talked a bit about it and was like, you know, and he explains what can happen, that the liquid metal can actually, being on the silicon of the CPU, can actually fuse to a cooler after a year. You know, because it heats up, of course, and it can change. It's scary because it's such a good solution, liquid metal. You know, that heat transfer, especially if you've got a custom water loop, or even bigger AIO like a 420. We're planning on a 420 in our next build anyway. Not the point. So I was very interested in hearing that, and I was like, this KryoSheet could be really cool if it's the step between. And in conclusion, guys, looking at the numbers being, you know, default, if you don't want to OC your CPU, hey, you don't have to, of course. And you're like, well, I've got paste, or this KryoSheet. Firstly, the KryoSheet, be a bit careful putting it on. You don't have to change it. Unless you change your cooler, you have no reason to take your cooler off. Again, until you change your CPU or whatever you do, you don't have to reapply thermal paste. So right there, you don't have to take it off, clean it. Clean the CPU, clean the cooler, reapply the paste, buy more paste. It's just a one-time thing. And he says up to 4 or 5, I'm pretty sure he says 4 or 5 times you can take it off. And if you're really careful, even more possibly, take it off. Take the KryoSheet off, do what you need to, put it back on, put your cooler back on. So you could get 10, 20, 30 changes if you wanted to off one, if you're careful. Who knows? I'm not saying that's for sure, but you never know. So before I end up sitting here talking for an hour, because I can, it's just very interesting. And that's why I wanted to look into it. And my perspective, again, third time I'm saying conclusion, I think it's a good product. I think if you're interested in something that isn't messy and actually works, I feel it actually works. Again, going back to the default, leaving OC alone, the numbers were pretty much the same, the heat, all core. Single core, it was at best 3C. I had the single core running and it was, it was sitting around 49, 50, 48. So 48 to 50C, that's where it was about. And thermal paste was sitting between 51 and it was like, I think the most I saw go 55, but that was all the way at the end of the 10 minutes. So on my CPU anyway. So best case, say it's 48 with the KryoSheet and 55 with the thermal paste single core. It's like, nah, that isn't massive. That's already really low if you think about the boosts. I mean, the single core at max 55 was sitting at about 4,800, so 4.8 gigahertz. My CPU, okay, again, at around the 48 to 50C, with the KryoSheet, it was sitting at nearly 5 gigahertz, so 200 megahertz. And of course that matters because the cooler is the higher the built-in, before even precision boost overdrive. This built-in, the 5 gigahertz, by the way, was not default. That was precision boost overdrive, but the algorithm, boosts it in terms of heat. So if it's hotter, the boost is lower. So it works. It's a good product. Do I think it's expensive? If you break it, yes. If you break it, it is expensive. Guys, it's really thin, so don't break it. Like, holding it in that, it's like, whoa, it's not like, if you look at it wrong, it tears, but it's definitely, don't be rough with it. Don't be rough with it, because that'll be an expensive mess up. Not like paste. If you mess with it, you're like, oh shit, I can get a bit of that, put on the CPU, that'll be fine. Well, I've got a full tube, so that costs me, I say, $14.99, whatever, that you can do the CPU and the GPU on. Yeah, worth it. So good product, definitely. Massive differences. Me personally, on the 5800X, if you're gonna overclock it, massive difference. Temperature didn't really change at all, going from all core 4.55 gigahertz to almost sitting constantly at 4.7. Same temperature. So I mean, and lower temperature, going from almost, from, what was it, 4.85 gigahertz to 5, almost constant 5 gigahertz. It was actually cooler. So yes, do it. It's a great product. Again, in my dreams, I'd be sponsored by Thermal Grizzly to do something like this, but it's just on yet. So you guys know who the creator of the KryoSheet is, the company. brilliant from, again, DeBauer. He's got his own YouTube channel. Check him out. He is a genius. And one final time, probably the only video like this we'll ever do on this channel. Like I said, we're a small gaming channel. Hopefully I'll see you guys in some of the games. Right now it's tough. We lost, like I said, we lost our 3080 Ti, so some of the games we were planning to play in that kind of on the back burner. Stream wise, I do stream on Twitch, by the way. Flipfile at Twitch. If you're interested to stop by, please do. It's tough too, because I mean, we were doing Hogwarts Legacy, lost the GPU. 3060 Ti kind of struggles with doing ray tracing in that and 1440p, and I don't want to go down to crap graphics, so we'll see how it goes. If anything ever comes from this, maybe we'll review other things in the future just on my rig. If you want to know more, comment and I'll try and answer. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, why not give it a thumbs up? I don't normally ask for thumbs up. I won't ask for subscribe, because this isn't what we normally do. Again, check out Gaming Owl, and really appreciate it, guys. I hope to catch you sometime in the comments, or even live on Twitch, at a gaming session. So thank you again. Ask questions if you want to, and hopefully this was slightly insightful. Thank you again. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.